I've been writing novels for some 40 years. 30 of those years, I was with one editor, Fiona McCrae at Grey Wolf Press, a press that exhibited the kind of faith in me that I never thought I would find as a writer. They allowed me to write retellings of Greek myths, write a parody of a Western, and write critiques and parodies of literary theory and philosophy. Obviously, they were really interested in making money. But fortunately, my transition to Doubleday has been comfortable and pretty exciting. My new editor, Lee Boudreau, it's been a seamless move from Fiona to Lee. And working with Michael Goldsmith, my publicist, has been unfortunately a good relationship. I for some 40 years have refused to do any public stuff. But it seemed like an organic time to do it. So I'll talk about James, this new novel. I've written over 30 books, and I find that to be somewhat in bad taste, so I apologize. But it's culminated finally in this novel, James, that I find necessary to state something about my relationship with The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn before I even start. And that is, it does not issue from some dissatisfaction or deficiency that I find in Twain's novel. I love the novel. It's important. It's an important reading experience for any young American. It was important for me. Like most kids of my era, I read an abridged version when I was very young. Abridged meaning a certain word was left out. And later, as a teenager, reading the complete work, the word was there, and I admit that I bristled reading it. But I also understood the accuracy of the telling of the story, how important the presence of the unfortunate word is in reading The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. I embraced the novel because it's the first American work that embraces race as the crucial and defining issue in American life. There were certainly novels about slavery before The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, Stowe, and a couple of other narratives, but they were meant to address slavery, not the relationship that America experiences with slavery. When Jim is with Huck in Twain's novel, Huck is a young boy dealing with the contradictions of his world. He has a man in front of him, perhaps the only father figure in the novel, who is property, but he doesn't understand that. He understands that there's something wrong with the picture. And that's an important feature of The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. What Twain saw in his day, and remains a lesson for all of us, is that this American experience centers around a bogus construction, that being race. When race is not present, there is a liable mission that Twain talks about in many places. Imagine the television show Seinfeld. They're in New York City, and they can't find a black person. The show Friends, they're in New York City, and they can't find a black person. That is a story about race. How does America want to see itself? How does America deal with itself and with this construction that has not only shaped all of our experiences, but shaped all of our politics and is used as a weapon of fear at every turn? I can't tell you that I wondered for years and about writing this novel. It came to me just 3 years ago. my first thought was, has anyone ever written Huck Finn from the point of view of Jim? And I was shocked to discover that no one had. And then I realized I hadn't thought of it either. So I excused everyone and myself. And there are many Huck novels. One of them is a very fine novel by Robert Coover called Huck Out West, but it picks up where that novel ends, where Huck lights out for the territory. And I also was dealing with a dissatisfaction in the culture of slave stories. I was so sick of slave movies because I wondered what they were meant to do. Was I supposed to walk out of 12 Years a Slave and say to everyone, wow, slavery was bad? No, that wasn't a discovery, not at all. So I was dealing with that and my love and respect for Twain, and the fact that Twain was unequipped to tell Jim's story. He wasn't there to tell Jim's story. He was there to tell Huck's story. He could not have understood what it would be to be a slave, nor can I. But I share ancestors like Jim. I mentioned 12 Years a Slave because it irritated me for a number of reasons. I'm sure the memoir was readable, but I couldn't read it. The film was well acted, full of good-looking people. Slaves in movies always look really good, which I've never understood. But it practiced a subtle racism that can be easily missed because we're focused on the slavery and not the people. The main character, the unfortunate black man who was kidnapped from his idyllic life in New England, because that's how free black people lived in those days, with white neighbors having parties and drinking sherry. He's treated just like any other white person. But then he's plopped down onto a plantation, kidnapped. And the problem with the story is that he understands what the slaves are saying. If he has lived a life that has been advertised to us, and he is plopped down with people who are imprisoned and oppressed and afraid and terrorized, there is no way that he will understand a word they are saying to each other. Oppressed people find a way to talk to each other that their oppressors cannot understand. It was that failure of recognition of language that made me dislike that film. And that is why in this novel, language is so central and crucial. In this novel, language is the story. How one uses it, and from language we have not only understanding of the world, but avenues to freedom, to education, to light. So language becomes the center of this novel for me, and I shouldn't have been surprised. This is what I deal in. But I wondered what Twain would say to me. And I started imagining our lunch together. Yeah. Heading for the climate, held for my lunch with Mark Twain. And I realized that we probably wouldn't say anything. We talk about fishing. We talk about the landscape. We talk about the world that we share with each other and avoid a bogus category that has been created by the issue of slavery. Race is a product, is a category, is a construction of a world that is attempting to justify the existence of that institution. So this novel has been instructive for me. I hope that in reading it, I can add something to our understanding of our shared experience, but also take one step toward the eradication of a category that has no place in human culture. Thank you.